Hello everyone, this is Raven and welcome to my channel. I've never done a TV show review before, but there comes a time in every person's life when you watch a TV show that is just so epically stupid, you really have to talk about it to get it off your chest, and this is one of those shows. So to give you a bit of background of my experience, I am actually a physics teacher. I've had about 10 years of experience teaching physics in public schools. So I have a degree in physics, a minor in math, so I'm a very scientifically minded person. So something that my mind tends to do is it critiques the science in shows. And when I watch shows like The Expanse, where they pay such excruciating attention to detail to make sure they make it physically realistic, and then I go from a quality show like that to something like Another Life, it's like the exact opposite. So let's get into it. I want to start out just by watching the trailer together and talking a bit about the plot here. So it starts out with this couple watching the news,
the Department of Defense is
and there's this giant, swirly, metallic
atmosphere.
Mobius strip from space that's coming down from the sky. And it lands on Earth and turns into this giant, ugly crystal spire thing with this metal base at the bottom. And I guess it's supposed to be some sort of antenna that's shooting off a signal into space, and they figure out where it's sending the signal to. I don't know how they figure out where it's sending the signal to, because that's not exactly how radio waves work. You can't just be like, oh yes, it's sending this signal exactly to this location in space. I mean, at best you could figure out where it's pointing some sort of antenna or satellite dish towards, but it's not even that. It's just this crystal thing. So how do they know the direction it's sending it off into space? I mean, radio waves are like light. They are a form of light, so that if it's communicating through radio waves, it would only be directional if the radio waves were focused somehow. Otherwise, it's just going to radiate out in a spherical pattern. But no, somehow they know exactly the direction it's sending the signal out into space, even though they haven't communicated at all with this thing yet. Oh, but when they do start to communicate with it, oh, it's great. If you've seen the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where they learn to communicate with it through music, well, guess what? That's exactly what they do here. They communicate with it through classical music, because we all know classical music is the universal language of giant crystals that grow out of Mobius strips from space. Okay, but this isn't even the most ridiculous part of the show, though I will admit the beginning of the show is just really slow and boring. It's just, the first entire season is just so dull. Like, it's so dull that they had to create a bunch of artificial drama. In fact, the entire first season is mostly just the crew arguing with each other. And there's this one character that just swears all the time. Okay, but I'll get into that in a minute. Let's finish the trailer.
I know why, and they want me to lead the mission. The trip is 6 months.
If all goes as planned,
I am coming back. I promise you.
This is the most important mission in the history of humankind. It's time.
Here we go.
we are on our
So this is a clip from this scene in the show where this one guy takes control of the ship because he thinks the captain's incompetent, and he's going to try to fly into a star to use the star's gravity to slingshot them in a certain direction to get them to where they're going faster, because he thinks that going there faster is the best way to go about it, I guess. And it ends up causing severe damage to the ship, and there's this tension between the main character, whatever her name is. I can't remember a single character's name from the show after 2 seasons. And that's it's usually how I tell if a show is good or not. I actually remember their names if it's a good show. If it's not, no matter how many times I hear the characters' names, like, my mind just can't remember them, and I can't remember any characters' names from this show. But we'll just say the blonde captain. She gets in this argument with the bearded, dark-haired dude that tries to take over the ship, and he pulls out a knife, and she assumes he's going to try to kill her without even, like, trying to talk to him about it, and immediately just, like, jump kicks him into this electrical thing in the ship that electrocutes him to the point he's, like, charbroiled. First of all, why in the world do they have this thing in the ship where if you fall into it, it just immediately tortures you? It's just so dumb. Anyway, after she kills the guy,
full of aliens.
Everyone is, like, upset at her.
How many of these things do you think are out there?
And, understandably
Our
so.
first contact with an alien civilization is a risk.
People will die.
Oh yeah, that's the guy she killed right there. It's funny, he says, people will die, and he's the one that gets drop-kicked into the thing. And it's just like everyone, the entire crew is just so emotionally high-strung. I feel like they went to, I don't know, instead of trying to collect some really good astronauts for this mission, they collected a bunch of people with the brains of 18-year-olds that like to argue and fight over the stupidest things. Oh, and there's this one character, and she can't speak without swearing. Like, every other word is an F word, or, like, I don't mind swearing, but her language is almost unintelligible because she swears so much, and she's supposed to be one of the best astronauts there is. And everyone is not just incredibly emotionally high-strung. Everyone in this show is super horny, and they all want to have sex with each other all the time. Like the captain, whatever her name is. She's so horny, she falls in love with the ship's AI and forces him to change into her husband so they can make out with each other, even though she can't even touch him because he's a hologram. But then she feels really bad about the whole thing. She feels like she took advantage of the ship's AI and has him delete it from his memory. Oh, man. And that's one of the better parts of the show. Anyway, here's a lovely crew that is just so emotionally unstable.
Of the people back on Earth.
Wait, what's that?
It's a lot like those horror movies where where the characters are just so stupid, you're rooting for the monster or whatever to kill the characters off.
Oh god, no. I have to save the crew.
I just found myself rooting for the aliens to kill off the
We launch into an interstellar war.
We don't have a choice.
There it is. The trailer makes it seem 1,000 times better than it actually is. Okay, but... oh man. The one thing that sums up how ridiculously stupid this show is, if nothing else, This season 2, episode 7. Oh man. It's just so bad. It was so bad I had to just take out my phone and take a picture of my TV and send it to one of my friends and just laugh so hard at how dumb this was. Okay, so the ship, I guess, has these two parts, and they created this wormhole to send part of it off back to Earth, but the other part had to stay behind for some BS reason I can't remember. Anyway, so the captain and this other dude are trapped in this piece of the ship, and since it doesn't have an engine, the captain tries to figure out a way where she can propel the ship to the nearest inhabitable planet, where they left behind some colonists that were just atrocious people that were basically the modern equivalent of Columbus that decided to colonize an already colonized planet and kill all the inhabitants. Nice of them, right? Anyway, so her means of propulsion for the ship she devises is to create this weird donut-shaped solar sail that goes around the ship out of this shiny foil. Now, the idea of a solar sail isn't so absurd. If, for one thing, you're near the sun or a star. Was she near the sun or a star? No, the ship was out in the middle of nowhere. Not near anything. So there wasn't any surrounding light it could catch with the solar sail. So what does she do? Well, apparently the ship has some very high-powered lasers that can levitate in space. Here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lasers that can somehow levitate in space. They're not even attached to the ship. And she surrounds the ship with them and blasts these lasers into this broad spectrum that reflects this broad diffusion pattern that reflects off of the sails and propels it forward. Okay. First of all, the solar sail design is really horrible. Okay. But we'll give that a pass. Second of all, okay, the idea that light carries momentum is true. Light does carry momentum, and you can propel a ship by shooting photons out of a laser. You can do that. And you can also use a solar sail, which collects the photons that are shining from a nearby star or from the sun if you're in our solar system, and uses the momentum of those photons like wind, basically. And not only photons, but a solar sail can also collect other solar particles that are carrying, momentum with them, and use that like a wind that can propel it forward. But in this case, it's just so dumb. This is like, it's like having a sailboat and putting a bunch of large fans around your boat to blow it somewhere. where the fans are blowing into the sail. Okay. Okay, now why is this so dumb? Well, it's so dumb because she could have taken all of these lasers and just attached them to the back of the ship and faced them the other direction and focused them all just pointing the same direction. And that would have, if the lasers were going this way, then that would propel the ship this way. So, it's just so dumb. Oh man, why? So whoever did this really has no understanding of what a solar sail even is supposed to do, And I guess they know that light carries momentum, which is good. But, oh man. It's just the dumbest thing. And then immediately after she builds this, there's like an asteroid or something, like a small space rock that hits it and destroys the sail, and they're like, oh no, we're doomed. When the stupid sail was completely unnecessary in the first place. Also, why does the ship just have a bunch of these ultra high powered lasers sitting around? What was the purpose of those things? Oh man. I just couldn't stop laughing at this part. So after the extremely dull season 1, season 2 is actually kind of interesting. There's some interesting aliens, like, I don't know, most of the annoying characters died off in the first one, like the girl that swears all the time. She ends up getting incinerated by the radiation from this part of the ship's engine, and it's just like, that's like the best part of the entire show. Because she was the most annoying character ever. It was just such a dumb show. Anyway, let's see what Rotten Tomatoes thinks of it. Okay, 6% from on the tomato meter and a 59% on the audience score. A hodgepodge of science fiction homage, Another Life lacks the distinctive spark necessary to set it apart from the array of stories it aspires to be. So, yeah, hodgepodge of science fiction homage really describes everything good about the show. Is basically taken from other shows and just stuck together like one of those collages someone makes out of magazine clippings. And then everything bad about the show is just super funny if you're a physicist. Oh man. And I wasn't the only one that noticed the stupid sail thing. I mean, there's an entire Reddit post about this where people are discussing how stupid it is. Anyway, that's all I have for today for this series review. If you enjoyed this, then maybe I'll do more of these in the future. Let me know. Also, let me know what you thought of Another Life in the comments section below. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye.